had a relationship with Russia since the time of the Soviet Union. The African National Congress took a lot of its cadres to be trained both militarily, academically to Russia. Many big leaders of the ANC were actually trained in Russia, like Tokyo Sehwale, who actually went to the same school with Putin, President Putin. So we've had a long relationship and we are indebted to the Russians for that support. Obviously, after the Soviet Union broke down, we continued the relationship with Russia. We opened diplomatic relations, as early as 1998. President Mandela visited Russia, Moscow, President Mbeki, and in 2017 we dropped visa requirements. So now we're focusing on increasing trade. But we believe that at the moment that trade is still a bit low, estimated at about 8 billion by 2016. We think it should be higher. So I'm glad that many Russian companies are now interested in investing in South Africa, and also there are South African companies that are now investing in Russia.
So do you think the failed nuclear deal has had any negative impact, or is it something that can be overcome?
There is no negative impact in my view, because it was an issue of affordability. We never said we don't want to work with Russia on this matter. What we were saying that the approach that we were taking as a country was not affordable. It was a big bang approach. It would have cost the country more than 1.8 trillion rands. So we then said, yes, nuclear is part of our energy mix, but let's look at an affordable way of doing it. Once we found that model, we put it back on the table, make sure it's competitive, transparent, and I'm sure if Russia is still interested, there will be no problem with them participating.
So what is the government doing at the moment to encourage trade between the two countries?
Well, at the moment, for instance, with this BRICS Council, there are a lot of Russian companies that are here. We're having discussions with them. We ourselves will have a lot of trips to Russia to engage. Our deputy president was in Moscow recently. So we're becoming very active in that space. We're creating an environment for Russian companies that want to invest in South Africa to be able to do so. Give them the necessary support, look at our regulatory environment. If there are obstacles, deal with them. As I said, visas have been scrapped, and therefore it's easy to travel between Russia and South Africa. I think because South Africa is once again open for business, I think you're going to see more increase in trade between South Africa and Russia.
So we've been traditionally more involved with commodity trade. How would you open it up to other areas of trade, and which areas of trade would you like to encourage?
Well, tourism is one area that is currently booming, especially after the scrapping of the visas. And as you know, tourism in South Africa now contributes more than 8% of GDP. So in my view, that's one area where people must look at, but also infrastructure investment. One of the Russian companies has just invested $500 million to produce locomotives in South Africa for the continent. They are here in Ekurhuleni. So there will be other areas. My view is that they must take advantage of the energy sector. Independent power producers, there will be a second round of those. There's a need to improve our operation in oil and gas as well. So yes, commodities, but there could be other areas, financial services. There is a big Russian bank that is already here. We will keep improving as we go on. We're also, by the way, looking at the agricultural sector, where if companies are interested, they can come into that space to produce food for food security. It's a sector that I think people must take advantage of.
And this will bring in more smaller and more medium-sized businesses, because the others are quite large businesses?
Yeah, definitely. We want to see more participation of small, medium enterprises in all this. The BRICS Business Council, of course, is looking at how to get more small, medium enterprises to participate, so that you don't only deal with big conglomerates, but also empower small businesses.